No mai Huddy mai. It's the Huddy Hui. Find Huddy Sports on Instagram and Facebook. huddysports.co.nz. Now let's kōrero.
Kia ora, good evening and welcome to the Huddy Hui episode 143. We're midway through the rugby season. We're going to be previewing round 6 of the Swindale Shield as we go through tonight's Hui as well. But first off, we always like to not always just interview rugby players. We also have interviewed cricketers in the past, swimmers, etc. And so we're going to go and have a look at someone who's represented New Zealand not only just at softball but also baseball as well. And our guest on the Hui tonight is Connor Keall. Connor, many thanks for coming on the Huddy Hui tonight. How is your post-season from baseball and softball been?
Pretty relaxing. Been playing some basketball and a bit of squash as well. So, yep.
You mentioned squash. Is that played all year round?
Most of the time, yep.
And how was the 2024-25 season been for both baseball and softball?
They've been pretty good. Had a lot of opportunities. So, yeah, we won a few times. My club team won our under-17s grade. So, yep.
That's pretty good. And what is your club that you play for in softball and also baseball?
For softball, it's Tocha Park, and baseball, we play Hutt Valley Hornets.
Let's talk about baseball. It's a sport in the last decade in New Zealand that has started to grow pretty quickly, particularly in Auckland. Softball's still pretty strong down in the Wellington region. Is baseball growing in popularity down here?
Yeah, baseball is starting to grow a bit more. We're having more and more opportunities, and a lot of the camps we go to are in Auckland, and Hastings.
Now let's talk about that. What is your preferred sport, baseball or softball, and why?
I prefer baseball just because it's taken me around the world and it has a lot more opportunities for me. So
let's talk about the key differences. What is different between softball and baseball? Is it just simply the ball or how you throw the ball? What are some of the similarities and differences between the two?
So the differences is the field is a lot bigger in baseball. And in baseball, there's a thing called a lead. So you can leave the first base that you're on, and you can leave it before the pitcher's throwing the ball. But in softball, you can't leave until the pitcher's throwing the ball. And that's kind of the main difference, apart from the pitching. In softball, it's underarm, and baseball, it's overarm. So, yeah.
Softball in particular, underarm, and you also mentioned overarm. In terms of the training similar in terms of preparation?
Yeah, preparation is pretty similar. A lot of the time it's kind of the same swing for baseball and softball, like hitting a ball, and same mechanics, I guess.
Talking to you before the Hui started, your family is heavily involved in softball. Tell us about your family and its involvement in softball.
My sister just made the under-18 White Sox today. It was announced.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's congratulations.
And my brother, he's been playing for a while. He plays Premier Ones and all of that. And my dad, he's plays Prezzies, so 35 plus grade. And then I sit around under 17s and under 19s and representing New Zealand.
And who does your brother play for at Premier level?
He plays for Tocha Park as well. So it's a local Wellington organization.
Now, of course, when did you realise that you had a special talent in both baseball and softball?
Um, I'm left-handed, so in baseball they like lefty pitches, which I am. So um, yeah, it's just they like lefty pitches because the ball comes from a different angle and it's like harder to hit, I guess. And yeah, when did I realize? Maybe when I started getting the opportunities, like maybe 3 years ago.
Was
Yeah.
there any choice about playing softball, or were you pretty much told you had to play it?
Um, nah, so I got a choice. Yeah, I got a choice for baseball and softball. So I originally started softball, and then in the last maybe 10 years, baseball started to kick off. So yeah, in Wellington at least, and I kind of just joined that.
Yeah, let's just talk about positionings in both sports. How do they differ? What is and you mentioned that you play one position differently in baseball compared to softball.
Yeah. So in baseball, I do a lot of pitching, and in softball, I catch. So plays catcher. Yeah. What was the other part of the question?
Oh, just all the different positions really. Are they quite similar, or is it just really the pitcher?
Um, well, you need a field to get the outs. So if you just have a pitcher and the ball gets hit, you're not gonna get anything going if there's no one in the field. But yeah, everyone's there for a different reason. Every position's there for a different reason.
Talking about pitching technique, what is key to your technique in terms of pitching?
Um, I throw a lot of fastballs. So in New Zealand, I'm known for throwing strikes and not a lot of speed, but strikes, and that's how I get most of my outs.
You spent 4 years at Wainui High School. Tell us about your time there. I think your last 2 years there, you were named Sportsman of the Year. I imagine that wasn't just for baseball and softball.
Uh yeah, so Wairumata High, it was a cool experience. The last 2 years, like you said, I did win Sportsman of the Year, and I won it for an ISA softball New Zealand trip. The first year, where we went and played in Australia for an under 15s grade, I think. And the second year, I played in Babe Ruth World Series and went to the World Series for World Cup qualifier in Australia. So yeah, opportunities,
And we'll talk
and
about
that's why I
those.
won it for
Yeah.
second year.
And then we'll talk about those opportunities as well. What other sporting achievements did you earn outside of softball and baseball while at Wainui?
Um, well, I play a mixture of sports, a lot. Like I used to play rugby, not this year because Whitby Collegiate doesn't have a team yet, but um, basketball and tennis and squash and a lot. So I got achievements for those just being known around around Wellington.
You've made the move out to Whitby Collegiate this year out in Pairua. How have you found your year 13 year at Whitby?
Whitby is great. I like it. It has a lot more opportunities. It actually makes me work at Wani. Or yeah, I'm doing a lot more work than I did back at Wani Model High School. So it's pushing me, is what I'll say.
You mentioned your sister Georgia before made the New Zealand Under 18 White Sox. The Whitby Collegiate Girls softball team won the Nationals this year. This is the first ever national title for Whitby Collegiate, and your sister was part of that winning team. How cool was that achievement? One for the school, but also for your sister as well.
Oh, she was pretty happy for herself, and yeah, I was proud of her. And for the school, it's a cool opportunity, and hopefully they can do it next year. Yeah. Did they get a trophy? They got a trophy, right?
Yes, they
Bought
did.
one
Yeah,
back.
sits in the office. Yep, under the lock and key.
Yep.
Yep. So you
Sweet
probably haven't
as.
seen it yet, have you?
No.
No.
No, not yet.
Now, also at Whitby,
Yeah.
you're giving it a go at the basketball. How's the basketball going? What team are you in?
I'm in the senior A team. So we had our first game on Friday, and we won by 70 points. So that was a great game.
And who
Yep.
do you play this Friday in the senior A basketball team?
We're playing Rongotai College, so that should be interesting.
Mm.
Their stats last week weren't the greatest, so hopefully we can cruise over them.
Yeah, you never know. Sport on the day, you might be the winner, but sometimes those stats can be misleading. Let's talk about your representative level as well. You've made rep teams for both softball and baseball. Let's talk about softball first. You were part of the New Zealand under-15s in 2023. Tell us about that experience.
So that was in Australia, and we played like 3 different Australian teams from around Sydney, kind of that area. And there was an under 15 New Zealand squad there, which I was in, and an under 14 squad that was also staying with us from New Zealand. But our under 15 squad did take the competition out, so that's always good. And I played catcher in that, so I was catching in that competition.
National
Yep.
champs in softball, what other age group titles have you won, and what's the best one you remember playing softball?
The most recent national title was this January, where it was under 17s. Me and Tyrone Robinson were the pitcher catcher combo. And yeah, we played counties, I think, or in the final, and we won 2-0. So, yep, national champs. And we a couple years ago, we won the under 15s one as well. And I can't remember that far back, but yeah. The most recent one and the most exciting was the one in January this year.
Is it baseball where you've had the most success at representative level? And so far, besides some of the rep stuff in baseball we're going to talk about soon, where else has baseball taken you?
For baseball, I've been to the States, so Branson, Missouri, and Australia and Sydney, a few places around Australia. But for my brother, he went to Japan when he was 12 for baseball. And my sister, she hasn't, she's played softball, so she's been away for softball. But yeah.
New Zealand under 18s you made in 2024. Where was that tournament? I hear it was a World Cup qualifier against Australia. How did the team go, and how did you find the experience?
The team didn't do the greatest, but that tournament was based in Sydney, and it was a 5-game series against Australia for the World Cup qualifier. We didn't take away the win, but I did pick up an award, and that was the Golden Arm. So best picture. But yep.
Golden Arm, is it the best picture? What is the stats for winning that award?
Over a period of time, they did a lot of camps around New Zealand, and I finished. There were like 2-day camps, and they did about 3 of them, and you just played games at the camps. And I finished with 20 strikeouts, which was the most out of any other pitcher, and I threw the most strikes. So, yep.
That's pretty impressive.
Lowest ERA.
What was that stat you just said then? The lowest
ERA.
ERA.
I'm not sure what it stands for, but
yep.
I think it's earned runs against. Earned runs against, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. That's a good statistics at that age. And, of course, still eligible for the under-18s this year.
Yep, I should be. So hopefully later in the year, another opportunity comes along and jump on that.
Is there another World Cup in the line?
Not for 2008 babies like myself. So, but there will be one next year. So for the 09s and 010s, that should be their World Cup qualifier. Hopefully they get more countries than just New Zealand and Australia. But
Exactly.
yeah,
Now, you mentioned you've been to Branson, Missouri. You were there for an 18-day camp, which was called the Babe Ruth World Series Under-16s in 2024, where you had the best batting stats on the team. How was that series for you? Tell us about that experience. One, going over to Missouri in America, and two, actually seeing what it's like over there.
so that trip was a 17-day thing, and we stayed at a place called. Oh, when we first got there, we were in. Where were we? I forgot, but we were in a place for 2 days, and we played a local team, and then we moved over to Branson, and we stayed at Ballparks of America, and we got to play teams like Mexico and the United States and etc. And yeah, I played multiple positions during our time there, and that was pitcher, catcher, and outfield. Yeah.
What's it like going up against teams like Mexico, and particularly the United States of America, where baseball's in their DNA?
So all our games we had as a New Zealand squad, we lost by 1 point. So it was cool to see like where we are against the rest of the world, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But playing Mexico, all their whole family like sat behind the batter, and every player that came up, they had a different chant. So like the Mexicans were just loud. It was cool to see. They had a different song, different chant for every single player. And then the States, they were a good side. They were professional, but yeah, they beat us by 1. So yeah.
I'm going to ask you some sort of quick fire questions here. What do you know about Babe Ruth?
He's the greatest of all time. Lefty batter. It's kind of it. 1950s, I don't know.
Your favorite Major League Baseball team?
I like the Houston Astros.
Houston Astros?
Yep.
Not a Red Sox fan,
Yep.
are you?
No, definitely not. Who's your favorite team, sir?
Well, it's just, you see that, Connor. There's a little a baseball down there. It's a Red Sox ball. Yeah, parents got that for me when they went to Boston. Yeah, there we go. So
that's always the bad team. Like people go against them.
Let's talk about the actual baseball itself. How many stitches are there in baseball? Surely you must remember this from quizzes in class.
I have no clue.
108.
108. Damn.
Yep. How many stitches are there in a softball?
108.
No, 88. Sometimes 96 according to the style of the ball. So there's little things there for you to work on. What is the next rep team for you that you're aiming to qualify for?
What was it? Junior White Sox under 18s. I missed out this year, but hopefully next year I can get in. But yep, Junior White Sox.
Now,
Black
what are the
Sox.
other things? Yeah, well, and the Black Sox too. That would be an idea. Good idea. We have a great history, the Black Sox and softball, don't we?
Yep. A long history.
Now, speaking about...
Sir.
Yeah, exactly, history. Exactly right. So let's talk about baseball again. It was a shame that the Tuatara baseball team are no longer operating. The first professional baseball team previously based out of North Harbour. Would that have been cool to be a part of if it was still going, Connor?
I think definitely, because they're a team, they're like the NBL for basketball, and they're like an organization that plays against Australia. Yeah, one New Zealand team against several Australian teams. So it would have been cool to jump in there and see what they're like and play against some Aussie teams. But yep.
Who has been the biggest influence in your baseball and softball career?
That's a good question. Jose Altuve.
Tell
Do
us
you know
about
who that
him.
is, sir?
No, you tell us in
So-
our audience.
So he plays for the Houston Astros, and he is 5'5", so not the tallest dude, like myself. And he plays second base, and he hits tanks. He hits bombs. Yep.
And what about softball here in New Zealand? Who's been some of the biggest influences for you?
Influences. I'm not sure. Myself.
Not sure. Yourself.
Myself.
Now, of course, what are your ambitions after secondary school? Your secondary school career finishes. Are you aiming to continue down the baseball line or the softball line?
I think softball is more realistic for me at the moment, but baseball does get paid more, so maybe baseball.
And where would you like to go in both sports? What's the overall goal you want to achieve in both? You mentioned softball's probably the one at the moment you want to go down, but baseball's your ambition. But what do you want to? How far do you want to go in both sports?
I mean, if the opportunity presents itself to fly to the States and play for the Houston Astros, then I'll jump on that. But yeah, I'm not sure at the moment. Hopefully, get through school and then weigh up my options.
And your studies, what do you want to do after school?
Maybe a business degree or sports degree. Yep.
Well, Connor,
I'm not sure what kind of business.
No, exactly. No doubt you will figure it out. Let's say thank you, Connor, for coming on the Huddy Hui tonight. All the best, and hopefully we'll hear your name in the sporting news of New Zealand over the next few years.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. That is Connor Keall, is one of our young people who's doing pretty well with softball in New Zealand. And it's good to catch up with him, and always on the Hui, good to have a look at some of the different sports and how they're going as well. Well, earlier today, I caught up with Adam Julian to preview round 6 of the Swindale Shield and some of the other rugby games that are on this weekend. So let's have a listen to my discussion with Adam Julian. Well, we're coming up to round 6 of the Swindale Shield this Saturday, and it looks like the top 8 has sort of sorted itself out. There's a possibility for 2 teams, Wainui and Mara St. Pat's. Earlier in the week, I caught up with Adam Julian about these, and he is joining us now on the Hui to talk about round 6 of the Swindale Shield. Adam, great to hear from you.
Great to be on the show, Brad. It's been a thrilling Swindale Shield thus far. Oriental Rongotai, are they on the cusp of winning the prize for the first time, which started way back in 1969? Old Boys University, the Jubilee Cup champions, swinging by a gallows pole, and a number of contenders doing well.
Especially doing well. And let's talk about Oriental Rongotai, the only team unbeaten in the competition so far after 6 rounds. They're playing against the second place team, Petone. They're playing for the Jim Brown Trophy out at the Polo Ground. It's a tough place to go and play, but Petone have had 2 close losses to them, in particular that Jubilee Cup semi-final playoff, which they lost in additional time last year.
It will be a thrilling game, Oriental Rongotai and Petone. Petone had arguably the win of the season last Saturday, 76-10 over Wainui Armada. That was a staggering result that few saw coming. Wainui Armada entered that game in good form, 2 solid victories against Johnsonville and Norse, but they were blown off the park by a Batoni side that had TJ Clark from the Hurricanes involved, that really hit their straps. Connor Tuiafau outstanding with 2 tries. Max Hoskins, another productive contributor there. So the Villagers will have every confidence in flipping their recent history at the Polo Ground, but it won't be easy against an Ori side that has a resilient, reliable and efficient forward pack spearheaded by the outstanding Dominic Ropeti. What a fantastic player he is. And Tom Maiava, the leading point scorer in the Swindale Shield, features for Oriental Rongotai, and he's been a magnificent acquisition back from a long spell in Otago.
Certainly has been. Tom Moava against Old Boys University a few weeks ago. He scored pretty much a 40-metre try untouched. He just glided through the opposition. And you mentioned Max Hosking last week. He scored a hat-trick of tries last week, and it was probably one of the best games he's played for Petone. Dom Ropeti, of course, 2 seasons ago when they always won the Jubilee Cup, he was the Jim Brown player of the final. And as you mentioned, he's been a catalyst for that team this season. Let's move on to Wainui Armada versus Mara St. Pat's. Both these teams lost last week. And, of course, Wainui lost heavily to Petone. Mara St. Pat's went down to Oris at the Polo Ground. Wainui at home, though, a different beast, Adam.
Everything that could go wrong did go wrong for Wainui Armada last Saturday. This was supposed to be Greg Leolofi's 200th match, but he withdrew injured prior to the Petone fixture, so that won't be the case at William Jones Park. Nonetheless, the Green and Blacks will be smarting from that embarrassment at the Petone Rec, and they will challenge Mara St. Pat's hard. Currently in 9th place, Wainui Armada, 4 points adrift of the top 8. So if they can win this game, they bring themselves back into contention for the Jubilee Cup. Wainui Armada have a number of capable players who could reverse their fortunes. Nico Patalicio has been in great form this season after his period in the police college. Brandon Sawyer is a young number 8 with real capability. And Andrew Wells has turned back the clock with some very fine games against various teams, and he'll be hoping to haunt his old club, of course. Andrew Wells, a fine Mara St. Pat's player. Mara St. Pat's 11 points this season. They really need to win every game from here on in to stand any chance of making the Jubilee Cup. Somewhat disappointing this year, though they did beat Parramatta Plymouton on a last play try, and they are capable of playing some very good rugby there.
Oh, you're just breaking up there, Adam. We just lost the last part of your little discussion.
I think it might have been the Pope saying that I expect Wainui Armada to win this game. He didn't like that prediction.
Well, yes, our new Pope. He's got a connection to our guest tonight. Big baseball fan. Let's go out to the Ken Douglas Trophy out at Jerry Collins Stadium. Norths versus Old Boys University. North started the season well for the first 2 to 3 rounds and have fallen away. Old Boys University, last year's champions, Jubilee Cup, Swindale Shield, 0 from 6 games. Can they win it at Jerry Collins Stadium?
Well, that's just the most staggering storyline of the season. OBU, who were so dominant last year, winning both the Swindale Shield and the Jubilee Cup, Norton 6. 4 of those losses have been by less than a converted try, but on Saturday they were obliterated by Johnsonville. They have several players away on the New Zealand Universities tour of Japan. They have injuries. They're imploding, the Billy Goats, and this is a really good chance for Norse to potentially get a victory. But Norse form, Brad, it's been awful in the last month. They started the season with encouragement, but it's been rapidly downhill since. So I expect this game to be a close one, but if the students can consistently sustain the rugby that's seen them almost win 4 games, they should prevail in this one.
One would hope so. And, of course, also the Old Boys University Premier Reserves are 6 wins from 6 games, so they're tracking along well. Back to the eastern suburbs, it's Pōneke against Upper Hutt for the LB Markham Shield out at Kilburney Park. Pōneke went down to Parramatta Plymouton last week. Upper Hutt, in a seesawing game, fell away in the last 10 minutes against a very dominant Tawa.
Old Timers Day at Kilburney Park, the 1975 Jubilee Cup winning Pōneke team are there. Pōneke played a really good first half against Parramatta Plymouton last Saturday and then got blown away in the second. They play a very exciting style. Porneki, sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between their backs and their forwards. And Upper Hutt are similar, actually. So I suspect there'll be a lot of points in this fixture, Brad. Yetatai Campbell and Emmanuel Solomona will likely cause pyrotechnics. Andrew Jones, this wonderful hooker for Porneki, he scored 2 tries a fortnight ago in a game I witnessed against Johnsonville. He's a fine player, along with 2-metre Tima Schmidt, the lock forward, and Porneki with some real class out wide as well, Tanutu and Robinson. I think Porneki might narrowly prevail on Old Timers Day in a high-scoring contest.
Exactly right. We had Andrew Jones on roughly about 4 or 5 weeks ago on the Hui, and we mentioned about his try-scoring abilities. He's pretty dynamic, and he mentioned it's just the right place at the right time. Still in the eastern suburbs.
Well, that's pretty modest, Brad. He ran 40 metres in the game against Johnsonville. Right place, right time. That's modesty to the point of self-deprecation. He's a very good player, Andrew Jones. And, of course, he's named after one of our great Test cricketers as well.
That's exactly right. Still in the eastern suburbs, Wellington, Axemen against Parramatta Plymouton. They've got their first win of the season. The Axemen against Avalon, but they're up against a Parramatta Plymouton side that seems to have found their mojo.
Absolutely on fire, Parramatta Plymouton. They beat Porneki 51-22 on their Old Timers Day last Saturday, and Louis Northcott scored 5 tries. He scored 35 tries in 36 games for the Hammerheads. They had been concerned about the lack of space they created for him in recent games. Well, that certainly wasn't an issue in the second half at Ngāti Toa Domain. He tore Porneki to smithereens. Esi Komavasai, 11 tries this season, Brad. The record in the Swindale Shield was 18 by Buxton Papali'i. We're halfway through, and Komavasai is tracking quicker than Papali'i did. So Parramatta Plymouton, with those two involved, and a forward pack which is improving all the time. And last week had Tulsi, the All Black prop.
Yes.
They'll be too strong for Wellington at Haitato Park. Wellington have had some encouraging results this season. They had that win against Avalon, which is their second win in 2 seasons, and they ran Norse extremely close. They were up in that game by plenty and lost 41-40 in the last minute.
Yeah, they sure did. And looking still out in Wellington, we're heading up State Highway 1 out to Helston Park. The on-fire Hawks, Johnsonville against the Avalon Wolves, still winless.
Johnsonville well poised to make a late surge for the Swindale Shield title and indeed solidify a position in the Jubilee Cup. They play Avalon, Wellington and Norse in the coming weeks, so that's almost certainly a guaranteed 15 points. And the way they play too, they score a lot of tries, so I suspect they'll prevail easily in that game against Avalon. Ollie Batonu, 2 tries last Saturday against his former club. Jacob Wormsley, the Centurion, in top form. Anthony Pettit back from his OE, making a big contribution. Rajas Sami, the hooker, has been in bustling form. Hamiahio, the veteran prop, dominating opponents in the scrum. A lot to like about the Hawks this year, Brad.
Yeah, there certainly is. And of course, Tawa Huddy Boys Maris. This is one of the games we're covering on Saturday. This one's on radio on Te Puka Uteika. It's going to be great to be able to bring you that game on Te Puka Uteika on the Itufania Footy Show, hosted by the great Dave Piper. It is Tawa at home at Lyndhurst Park against Huddy Boys Maris. This is the first time that we have got to be commentating a game at Lyndhurst Park, Adam, since 2019.
Goodness, and what an occasion that was in 2019. Tawa Norse Jubilee Cup semi-final. Tawa up 17-0, and then there was a methane outbreak and a wild comeback from Northern United, and they won by 18-17. Campbell Woodmass, who played for Wellington at halfback, out of Mana College at the same time as TJ Perenara, won a Gallagher Shield with Ponsonby. He scored a try in the corner that literally caused somebody to outbreak into a religious episode. There was a preacher who was screaming wildly on the terraces at Lyndhurst Park. And then, of course, the drama in that game continued when Sam Clark, Manawatu and Wellington Standard NPC first five, missed a penalty close to full time to win it. It was just an extraordinary game. And this game on Saturday, Brad, Huddle Boys, Mariston Tower, two beefy four-packs. There'll be some heavy collisions in this one. Tower possibly could have Hugo Plummer, who hasn't been involved that much with the Hurricanes this year. George Rasili, bullocking number 8. He's been very good. Lohu Nuku, the hooker, a timeless talent he is. So Tawa will be very tough to beat at home for a Huddle Boys Maris side who won well last week and have the likes of David Filippo, 150 games, and Wayland Tuhoro Robinson to call upon. And of course, Jordan Gillies, the captain, Centurion now. Get on the Hui, Jordan. We want you.
Exactly. We've been trying to get him on for a while. Jordan Gillies, hopefully we'll get him on this season. He's a bit shy, I think, Adam, isn't he?
Well, he shouldn't be shy. He's got a lot to offer, both personally and for the community. Of course, his father built half of Upper Hutt. Malcolm, wonderful man.
Wonderful man indeed. And of course, the game that we're doing on Huddy Sports this Saturday at midday, Silverstream against Palmerston North Boys. Palmerston North, a pretty strong side this season, up against Silverstream, whose start of their pre-season was a bit shaky, but they've had some good wins lately, in particular against Napier last weekend.
Very good win by Silverstream against Napier. 33-7 was the score. They had their two most talented backs playing. Fletcher Cooper, only a year 11, but highly regarded first 5/8, and Will Davis, who's the son of the coach Keall. He's a versatile performer who brings a lot to Silverstream's backline, but Silverstream going to need more than slick backs to beat Palmerston North, who have been one of the best teams in the country, Brad. They've only dropped one game, and that was a narrow loss to Auckland Grammar. Every other game was won by plenty. And in their backline, they have Geordie Bellewen, who's one of the best young first fives in the country, and Hunter Kennedy, who's as fast as lightning at fullback.
I remember those two last year when they played in the Hurricanes post-season finals, and of course they beat Silverstream comprehensively, those two, that day in the Hurricanes semi-final, and then they went down narrowly to Fielding. And speaking about Fielding as well, they're relatively unchanged as well. So the middle of the North Island is looking strong. Well, Adam, it's great to have you join in on the Hui to preview the games. All the best, and we'll see you on Saturday.
Looking forward to Saturday. And can I just say before I depart, there was a massive result in the Taranaki today. Francis Douglas Memorial College beat New Plymouth Boys High School in their annual grudge match traditional 10-8. It's the first time in a decade that Francis Douglas have won that game. And the coach, Leo Crowley, who provided so much joy in Wellington when the Lions won the NPC for the first time in 22 years in 2022. And the other coach is Thomas Kalin, who played with Duplessis Karifi a decade ago when Francis Douglas beat New Plymouth. So a wonderful day for the Catholics on the gully.
Well, many thanks, Adam, and take care. We'll see you Saturday. And what a big result that one was indeed. Well, also speaking on Huddy Sports this weekend, tomorrow we'll bring you a hockey game live from Elston Park, hockey turf at 5:10. Whitby Collegiate taking on Scots College 2nd 15, so you can watch that live on Huddy Sports YouTube. And also, this Saturday's game is the first time we've had to put a game behind the paywall, unfortunately. So to watch that game, you'll have to join membership on Huddy Sports YouTube, $5.99 to watch that, and it lasts for a month. You can cancel that out straight after the game if you wish to. But yeah, it's unfortunately not everyone can pay for our services now. So sometimes there may be the odd game where we may have to put it behind a paywall because it's not able to be free. So let's just hope that we don't have to do too many of these this weekend as well. Well, that is the Huddy Hui for tonight. Episode 144 is next Wednesday at 7 o'clock, so make sure you tune in for that. So we've got the hockey tomorrow night at Elston Park at 5:10, and then Huddy Sports is out at Silverstream at midday on Saturday for the first 15 traditional between Silverstream and Palmerston North Boys. That has been the Huddy Hui for tonight. I am Brad Hudson. Ciao for now.
It's the Huddy Hui. You can find Huddy Sports on Instagram and Facebook. And check out huddysports.co.nz.
on Huddy Sports, we'd like to thank our sponsors that have always been grateful to our causes here on Huddy Sports. Our first sponsor, Mike Pinfold Plumbing and Drain Laying Limited. If you need any drain laying or plumbing assistance, give Mike Pinfold a call on 027 430 4351 or Pinfold Plumbing at extra.co.nz. Louise Reddy of New Zealand Travel Brokers. If you need any travel advice, she's local here in the Hutt Valley in Petone. Call 021 135 3076. Louise Reddy, Louise.Reddy at nztravelbrokers.co.nz. And also to Gavin Murphy and the team at Jen Hickton Funeral Directors. They've been serving Wellington families of their funeral directoring services since 1946. So go to jenhickton.co.nz. They're all local people here in the Hutt Valley and Wellington that service our greater community. We also like to thank Ben Belushnik Visual Designs that helps with the graphics here on Huddy Sports. As here on Huddy Sports, we're always wanting to keep our content free on YouTube. So the idea of sponsors, we can promote you on live stream, our social media pages and our website. It's good to support the local community and helps keep Huddy Sport free for all to watch. So if you're interested to helping Huddy Sports, go to huddysports.co.nz or to our email address, huddysportsnz@gmail.com. Ciao for now.